All right, what's happening, everybody? What's going on? Episode 464 of the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Welcome to BD4. Talking more Knicks. They figured it out last night. It was a big game, man. It was a huge game. Knicks Pacers is always going to be a big game for me. I as a big Knicks fan, I can't stand the Pacers, even if I wasn't alive for those early 90s, mid-90s Knicks teams. But that's always going to be a big game. But just you look at the seeding, that was, the winner of this game takes that sixth spot for the meantime. So the Knicks found a way to do it. Now they're back up to 6. That's the magic number that we want to stay at worst, because we want to try to avoid that play-in. And if you do drop to a play-in spot, you hope that it's no worse than 8-9, or what is it, 7-8, because the 9-10 only get one shot to win, right? If you're 7-8, you get 2 cracks. But the Knicks right now are 6th, so hopefully that'd be beautiful if we can find a way to avoid the play-in. But they pick up a big win against the Pacers last night, and we're going to talk about it in episode 464 here of BD4. Let's get to it. Welcome to BD4, an RJ Carbone podcast. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. BD4 is a 5-star show on Apple Podcasts, also available in video format on YouTube and Spotify. So thanks for stopping by, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Champion of the world, turning, looking, see ya!
Anthony for 3, bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied!
Time!
Penetrates, creates, and showing some dexterity as well with the left hand.
Yankees win!
All right, let's get to it. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, RJ. Welcome back. Episode 464 of the podcast. Thanks for stopping by. And the Knicks, they picked up a big win last night against the Indiana Pacers at Madison Square Garden. And we are going to talk about it as, the fucking house that I live in, there's just constant stomping and noise above me because my studio, I designed it in the basement. So if I'm like, if you're watching the video format of the show and I'm occasionally looking away, it's just like, it's just because there are people living here and there are like fucking parades going on upstairs. You'd think there's parades. The Knicks win. They defeat the Pacers last night after a tough battle. And we're going to talk about it in this one. But first, guys, just want to let you know that if you are new to the show, of course, you can find the podcast on many platforms. You can listen to the show on Apple, Spotify. You can watch it on Spotify and YouTube. I do want to talk about one thing. Because, we were talking earlier, one of the recent episodes, giving you some good TV recommendations. And I said that I brought up that I started watching Boardwalk Empire. And I finished the first season of it. And it's a great show. It's a good show. I'm enjoying it. It's very good. I talk about it. I review the show and stuff. But, I have a pretty pathetic short-term memory. And when it comes to TV shows, for some reason, as soon as the episode ends, I forget 100% every dialogue that just happened and only remember if it was good or bad. That's why I like to read a lot of recaps and blogs after I watch an episode of TV. But anyways, it's a hell of a show so far. Boardwalk Empire just finished the season 1 finale. And one thing I will say, the the one thing I'm taking from this show, how do I say it? The production is great, of course, right? The quality of acting is great. The production of the film, like the film it looks good. They use great filters and the definition of the image. They do a really good job giving you that 1920s feel. But is it me, or does it feel like everything back then, the craft was just so much nicer, fancier, and neater? Like all the craft was just so much more authentic and built neat. People took time to make things perfect. Like the inventions back then, the creations, like in the show, like they've got telephone booths that were so neat and wooden and just neat looking. People dressed nicely. The cars, the roads, the architecture, the way people spoke even just seemed like they're very well spoken and they speak with this elegance. And I don't know. Is it just me and like watching all these? Because I watch a lot of shows that like take place in that, early 1900s time period. So it could be just, Hollywood portraying it like that. But I feel like there's some truth to that. And I was mentioning that to one of my friends on through text. We were talking about that. And he agreed. So maybe it's not just me, but it just feels like, just when I was watching Boardwalk Empire, I'm just looking at these, just anything, just the world, and it just looked like things were much neater. I don't know how to explain it. I hope I can, hope you understand what I'm saying. But anyways, I didn't mean to get all old man on you. It's a good show, and I can see why it's right up there, underneath or next to Sopranos, The Wire, and other top-notch, mob series and stuff like that. So I'm enjoying Boardwalk Empire. I've been playing some Battlefield lately on the PS5, and that's one of my favorite franchises to play. Lately I've been playing like the latest ones, the three newer ones: Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, and then Battlefield 2042. And I absolutely suck at shooter games. I may be like semi-adequate in Battlefield 1. But I really, really enjoy the Battlefield games still. And the reason is especially true with Battlefield 1. It's like I enjoy it because the overall experience, like the atmosphere of the game, it's like that they pay attention to such good detail. If you've ever played Battlefield, like the sound, holy shit. If you play that game with earphones in, the soundtrack during the games that you hear in the far background, but the sound of every, the guns popping off, every explosion, the dings that you hear when you get a headshot or a kill in that game, the sounds of like the shells sliding around on artillery guns, like the footsteps, the weather, tornadoes, the wind, the rain, the screams of other soldiers in the background, the graphics. It really feels like, I don't want to say it feels like war because I don't know, but it's like, the opening minutes of Saving Private Ryan. That really, like, it really captured, as best as we know, what that could feel like. That's what it feels like while playing that game. It's like, it's insane, and I'm really enjoying Battlefield. That's why I like Battlefield over Call of Duty, because I feel like it's more real in that sense. I don't get the same vibe when I play COD, though it has been a bit. Anyways, I'm gonna I'm going on some like rant as if I promise I didn't just smoke a pound of pot before this. I'm just talking out of my ass. But you can, of course, skip and look in the description and skip to when we start the show. We'll get to it right now. We'll get to our first break, and we'll talk some Knicks. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, guys. So if you are a listener of the podcast often and you want to know where to find me on social media, You can find me on Facebook at BD4. You can find me on Twitter at BD4Pod. And you can also find me on Instagram at RobJCarbone. All right, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone, and yes, we're going to get to it. So the Knicks defeat the Pacers. They slide back up to 6th in the Eastern Conference with a 119-113 victory last night at Madison Square. Winning another game that drove us all mad. Jesus Christ. Especially because the Pacers, there's a late scratch for Miles Turner. Halliburton leaves the game late third quarter. The Knicks are finally fully healthy, which is nice to see. So you figured, all right, we can blow them out. And yeah, the Knicks barely managed to hang on late, turning another blowout into a nail-biter. They dominate the first half. They scored, enough points to go up 21 at the break over Indiana. They expand that 21 points into a 25-point advantage midway through the third quarter. But then the Pacers, they go on this insane 50-27 run from that point up until the final 3 minutes of the game. Carlisle starts putting 2 on the ball to force some bad decisions from the Knicks. Pacers start blitzing, trapping. The Knicks are in chaos. But of course, eventually, big-time baskets from who but Jalen Brunson, their crunch time guy, time and time again, helps the Knicks pull away, and Grimes with a dagger to help secure the win. And the game's over, and the Knicks again win 119-113 to make it 5 out of 6, and they're also 13-6 in their last 19 games. And I believe in the season, the New York Knicks are 22-19, right? 23, 22, 23. Let me check here on the screen. On the season, they are now 23-19, correct. So they win. They figure out a way to pull away, and again, this was a big win, given it was not only Knicks Pacers and you want to beat the Pacers, but it was for seeding, right? The Knicks take the 6th seed at the moment with that big win, and I want to give. We'll start by giving out a game ball to the guy who gets it every night. And Jalen Brunson was phenomenal last night.
Bing bang.
Yeah, man. 34 more points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover. He shot 11 for 20 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3. And he was a perfect 9 of 9 at the free throw line. He's starting to knock them down again. That's nice to see. But he was great. He outplayed Tyrese Halliburton, who, again, ended up leaving the game with an injury after scoring 15 points in 27 minutes. Brunson gets off to a very hot start. He finishes the game very strong, too, but very hot in the first quarter, where he drops 15 on 6 of 7 shooting. In the fourth quarter, he scores 7 points on 3 of 6. And all 7 of those points came within the final 3 minutes. The Pacers tried slowing him down with those traps from McConnell. But it wasn't enough at the very end, where Brunson, at least 3 times gets big buckets for them. The Knicks are up 2 with 2:50 to play. Brunson receives the ball from Randle at the top, fights through a string of Pacers defenders through the left side, and he gets this tough left-handed finish to make it 107-103. On the very next Knicks possession, he puts them up 110-103 when he receives the ball in the corner for a spot up off of an R.J. Barrett baseline driving kick. And then with 1:30 left, the Knicks are up 5. Brunson, from all the way at the top, drives middle for a tough left-handed floater. It falls, and it puts the Knicks up 112-105. So, doing it again. And, there's nothing else left to say about this kid. It's in the film. It's in the numbers. He's now 3rd in the NBA when it comes to clutch time points per game. behind only De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan. And you look at his slashes in crunch time, 55%, 56% from 3, and 82% at the stripe. And again, if you don't know what clutch time is, it's the final the final 5 minutes of a game that's within 5 points. So I want to call myself out, all right? I'm going to do it. I was just pondering doing it. I don't like being wrong, okay? And to be honest, I wasn't wrong when I said it at the time, and I'm still not wrong. But I felt like I was nitpicking at the time because this was like a few weeks back where I was kind of criticizing Brunson after he had a couple of misses in back-to-back games. And I think there were some free throw misses in there as well on top of that in like the final 10 seconds. Right? Do you remember that span? I wasn't wrong that he hasn't knocked those shots down. But it was only on a couple of instances. And I just feel like it's nitpicky because why even mention that when he's been so perfect for this team outside of those final 10 seconds? Like he's been clutch in the fourth quarter, dropping consistent buckets. He's been great as a scorer overall. He's been a good, solid floor general, point guard. He's just been really efficient. And I feel like, if we're going to talk about him being clutch, I probably shouldn't have said that. But, if we're talking about crunch time shooting, how about segue into our next subject and get to Quentin Grimes? Because kid last night had it. 18 points, 5 rebounds for Grimes, 2 assists, 2 steals, shot 6 of 11, 4 of 8 from 3, and 2 of 2 at the line. In crunch time this season, Quentin Grimes is shooting 70% from the field and 75% from 3. And that's 7 out of 10 from the field and 6 of 8 from 3 in crunch time. Crazy? Yeah. Am I shocked? Not really. I also complained about Grimes' free throw shooting down the stretch in an episode or two, so that might have been a nitpick too, but he's hitting daggers for them, man. And he had the big dagger last night. The Knicks were up 3 points. 25 seconds left. They had the ball. They needed one more make to kind of ice the game. And Grimes from the left wing, off of a Quickley driving kick, does so. Ices it, puts the Knicks up 115-109. That was the game. And I think he's so great in those moments for one simple reason. Well, he's obviously fearless. We know that. That was obvious from when he debuted last year. You could see the comfort level. But his ability to attack a closeout, really impressive. And he does it in 2 different ways. Firstly, he has this super, very quick textbook release. And that's obviously important because it allows him to get the shot off before the defender closes out. But secondly, and we've seen this multiple times now, he's got such a quick first step when he's attacking the closeout, especially on that baseline, he can get to the rim. And he's a good finisher. So that combination of being able to shoot it quickly and drive quickly is so efficient. And it makes him so vital to their success. And it's as simple as that. His ability to attack a closeout in a couple different ways. And of course the defense was there last night. The point of attack defense was always been his thing. Did a nice job containing Tyrese Halliburton, who's going to be an all-star this year, rightly so. But he made Halliburton force a few passes on the inside that led to some turnovers, just simply by applying constant ball pressure. But, yeah, my main takeaway from last night was Grimes on offense. He poses as such a big off-ball weak side threat because of those skills. If it wasn't for him and his ability to play off ball like that, the Knicks could very well be looking at a record that's not 23-19, but 19-23. Right? On the outside looking in at that 10 seed. But instead we're standing in the 6 spot. Right? Because let's be honest, we don't play great down the stretch offensively. And this will be my next talking point here. The ball movement last night again. It slowed down significantly down the stretch. It slowed down in the third quarter, and then it slowed down later on in the fourth quarter. Just the same shit. A lot of half-court isolation sets, and a lot of possessions where the Knicks, their ball handlers, are just hanging on to it for too long, standing in one spot. We saw that with Randle at the top of the key, where it led to the McConnell steal halfway through the fourth. We tried slowing it down with a couple of post-ups that milked the clock and allowed Indiana to defend us well. And I think that's why Grimes needs to be out there with the starters. For some reason, he didn't play the fourth quarter. Got an entire minute. Got 1 minute and 15 seconds last night in the fourth quarter. So, I know he played the entire third, but still. Sit him in the first 6 minutes of the fourth, and you play him in the final 6. That would have gave him 36 minutes on the night. But, yeah, just a lot of ISO again. And, with the Pacers blitzing the pick and roll, Tibbs could have maybe adjusted with a better, more dynamic approach and opened up his playbook. And, you had Brunson and Randle constantly in traps, so maybe set up a pick and roll action, but use that skip pass. Throw it weak side to RJ quickly. I don't know. But, whatever. I'll talk more about the blown lead thing in a second, because I do have some thoughts on that and the minutes and all that. Knicks fans talking about the Knicks being so fatigued down the stretch. We'll talk about that in a sec. But I want to get to RJ Barrett, because he had a nice welcome back game for I don't know what I was about to say. He had a nice welcome back game last night. So we'll get to break real quick, come back and talk about RJ's performance. Stay with us. BD4 is located on many different platforms. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and if you do there, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review. You can listen to it on Spotify, but you can also watch the podcast on both Spotify and YouTube. BD4 is available on many other platforms as well. All you got to do is search it up. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and much more. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to episode 464 of the podcast. RJ Barrett last night was good. 27 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Shot 9 of 23. 5 for 6 at the line. 2 turnovers, 4 of 12 from 3. 41 minutes played. It was a nice welcome back game for RJ. I thought he was more in that off-ball role last night, and it worked. I had this spot-up 3-point shot going early, and also had some nice cuts to the basket. Knocked out a few 3-pointers early first quarter. Him and Randle were clicking together. One of his buckets came off, I think the first bucket of the game actually, came off of it was a Randle DHO action. Another one coming off a Brunson swing pass to RJ in the corner. Randle got the hockey assist. Also using that right elbow high screen for Mitch to drive across the lane and finish left. All that in the first quarter. He was hot early on. I like the passing too. He made smart reads on the defense. The lobs to Mitch were back. He had one early first quarter in the high pick and roll. Also had some great kickouts throughout the night. He's always like that. He likes to do those drive and kick darts from like right under the rim to the guy in the corner. He's done that since his rookie year. Making that weak side pass. He did struggle a little bit down the stretch. Missed a number of open threes. He had the inbound turnover late. And then obviously the bad foul on Buddy Hield for the 4-point play. And Buddy Hield scares me, man. That guy, he's one of those like streaky, inefficient volume chuckers. But when he's hot, he is hot. And last night he was hot. 31 points, knocked down 7 triples. And, he was trying to pull them back in it. But I will give RJ props for that corner kick out he made to Brunson with about 2.5 left. That was a nice move by RJ. It was a big pass. But all in all, it was a decent return game for him, considering he missed 2 weeks. I know it was only a finger injury, so he was able to get the cardio in still while he was out. But game shape is still a lot different than practice shape. But I thought he was good. Julius Randle last night, 14 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, 6 turnovers, shot 5 of 12, 2 of 7 from 3, and 2 of 4 at the free throw stripe. Yeah, mixed bag. It was a down night with the scoring. Indiana was sending multiple doubles on him. And right away, too, as soon as he'd catch the ball. So we didn't really have time to attack before the double, which led to a lot of those turnovers. Mid-first quarter, we saw him turn it over when Johnson and Hield trapped him. Saw the same thing again late second quarter. He lost it on the baseline. Hield and Halliburton started doubling him in the third. Got a turnover there. And then you had the one in the fourth with Nembhard and Duarte on him at the key. So Indiana was throwing the kitchen sink at him, man. They threw everybody they had. Just get a body on Randle. And some nights Randle's able to make those quick passes efficiently, and other nights he'll have trouble with it. And there were occasions last night where he did a nice job getting it out to shooters, and that's why he had 4 dimes. He found RJ a couple times in the second half. But, struggled with the turnovers. I do like that he didn't force anything with the jumper either. It wasn't hot. He only had 12 attempts from the field, though. It wasn't senselessly chucking from 3. 2 of 7, that's a moderately bad game. It's nothing crazy where he forced up 9 consecutive misses like he did the other night in the first quarter alone. But yeah, whatever. He knew RJ was back, so the shot diet was a lot more evenly spread, and he continued to contribute on the glass. He's been a monster lately. His last 18 games, he's averaging 13 rebounds. He got 15 double-doubles in that stretch. And his last 8 games have all been double-doubles. He's still producing. So, all in all, a down game, but not horrible. Excuse me. Mitchell Robinson last night, 10 points, 9 rebounds and assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks, and he did so in 38 minutes. Yeah, he took advantage of the Pacers not having Miles Turner down there. They were sending extra bodies to keep Mitch off the glass. But I thought he did a nice job, still being able to grab 9. A lot of rebounding in traffic. The Pacers were fouling Mitch to prevent those putbacks and tried everything they could to stop him, without Turner. And, he did a nice job. He knocked them down. He was 4 of 6 at the free throw line, which you'll take from your big man. You'll take from Mitch, who's not a great free throw shooter. And defensively, though, I thought he really stood out. Obviously dropping again on those pick and rolls, but still maintaining a solid position to defend the ball, the pass lane, and the rim. That's why I finished with 5 steals, 2 blocks, and a few deflections in there. But yeah, he's doing his thing defensively, man. And in between his interior defense, his pick and roll coverage, his perimeter defense, the steals, blocks, rebounds, I just wish that he was mentioned more in conversation for Defensive Player of the Year candidates. Because he's having a solid year overall. He's averaging 8 points, 9 rebounds, a couple blocks, and a steal. The last 22 games, he's averaging 11 rebounds. He's playing well. I'm happy to see Mitchell Robinson having a breakout year. And that's the starting unit. If you go to the bench unit, not much again, despite guys being back together. But it's going to take time, right? They also didn't have a ton of opportunities last night. Quick leash from Tibbs. Deuce gave you nothing offensively. 0 points, and he only played 6 minutes. Hartenstein gave you 0 points once again. He only got 9 minutes. If his minutes are being reduced at this point to single figures, why not just try Sims? I don't know. Obi Toppin came in, knocked down another 3-pointer. Boxed out. Scored 5 points in 9 minutes. I hope he starts getting more minutes soon like he was earlier in the year. It's kind of one of those tricky things where is it him not getting enough minutes to produce, or is it him not producing enough to get the big minutes, right? With a lot of these guys off the bench. It's one of those, it's a tricky catch-22 type thing. Maybe give Randle an extra 5 to 8 minutes of rest. Have Obi take the floor in those minutes, and then also give him some minutes where both he and Randle share the floor together in that small ball front court. You do that, and there you go. Obi's got at least 20 minutes again. Quickley was good in his first game back with the second unit. He was the only guy in double figures off the bench, and I want to give him an award for it. BD4 is located on many different platforms. You can listen to the podcast.
Bing bang.
I just want to break accidentally. Immanuel Quickley last night. He was good. First game back with the second unit. 11 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 1 turnover, 26 minutes. He didn't shoot great. Nothing crazy, but again, he, fucking scored points. He rebounded. He defended. He was playmaking. Thought he went to the basket well. He finished with a floater. Had another right-handed layup. Had some kickouts, 2 off the drive. The key one with 30 seconds left, obviously, where he drives right past Bitadze and hits Grimes for the triple. But overall, another quiet night from the bench. I do think it'll get better now that they're all healthy, though. I will say that. It's just going to take a few. I want to talk more about the bench, the minutes distribution, and the Knicks late in the game collapsing. Because I have some things to say about that when we get back. Stay with us. We'll be right there. We also have a website now for BD4. If you go to bd4blog.com, you can find the blog, the podcast links, and also where to find me on social media. Just go to bd4blog.com. All right, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to episode 464 of the podcast. So, I want to talk about this whole thing we got going on here. And I don't want to be repetitive, so I'll try my best to run through it very quickly. When it comes to running the starters heavy minutes, here we go again, right? I definitely didn't mind at all when guys were banged up. When we didn't have RJ Barrett, when Quickley had to play with the first unit, when Obi Toppin was out. Thibodeau literally had nobody to go to, and Knicks fans were still out there bitching and putting no thought into why they were angry. I didn't have an issue with that. I thought he had no choice. Now that guys are healthy, Quickley is back with the bench unit. Obi Toppin is back from the fracture. I do hope that he starts giving Obi more time to get back into form again. And, maybe Grimes last night could have given RJ some minutes of rest if Grimes had played in the fourth. Dukes maybe could have been in there for defense last night. The Pacers did score 32 in the fourth quarter. They shot almost 47% in the fourth. And I did like, though, how Tibbs went small. He went 5 out. That's how Grimes got that bucket. Brunson. But I also think it's just we don't have enough. These guys aren't that good. I think we're acting like some of these guys off the bench are, borderline star players. We need the front office to make a move here. It's also on the front office to make a move for a wing scorer to give us some depth on the bench. Kuzma would be nice. I'm looking at him. OG Anunoby would be nice, but he's probably going to cost a fortune. And, will Tibbs even expand to 10? But at the end of the day, I'm not really trying to over-exaggerate and stress out over any of that. Because in the end, the Knicks, whether it's a short rotation or not, they're probably going to have a season around 500, give or take a few games. Can you make a case that if Tibbs distributed minutes more evenly, the Knicks would be better? I don't know. Can you? Maybe. But by how much, really? Right? The roster is full of good players, a couple borderline all-stars, and then role players from there. And then reserves. So what? It's like, as opposed to, let's say the Knicks finish with 42 wins. It's 45 wins? I don't know. That's even a stretch to me. I think that a lot of these blown leads, while definitely you can factor in fatigue and say that Tibbs probably shouldn't run them, a ton of minutes. It's a combination of things. It's not 100% Thibodeau like Twitter will have you believe. I mean, we had the fire Tibbs chance out even in the win yesterday. Which is crazy because we're winning a lot of these games where we choke. We're still coming back to win a lot of these. And I was listening to a Knicks podcast this morning, and they brought up an article written by The Athletic. And I went and read that article. And in The Athletic, they wrote a Knicks article about blowing leads. And I think it was titled something like, are the Knicks blowing leads or is the entire league blowing leads? And there was a stat in there. I'm going to read it off to you here. Let me just pull it up on the screen here. Not your screen, my screen. But the stat read that 21 NBA teams this season, 21, have blown double figures leads into a loss. 5 times. Yeah. So 21, I'll say that again. 21 teams have turned a double-figure lead into a loss this season at least 5 times. Every team, except for one, Memphis, have done so at least 3 times. And it makes sense. Like, it's not, because we're focused in so much every night, so it's exaggerated to us. But this is modern NBA. There are a lot more possessions, so there's a lot more scoring opportunities. There are a lot more three-point attempts being taken. Playing at a faster pace. For example, I went and looked into it. 10 years ago today, well, not today, 10 years ago, in the 2012-13 season, the league leader in pace averaged 96.9 possessions a game. That was the number one team in pace. Today, this season, that number would rank 28th place among the 38 teams. Insane. And I went and looked at the three-point shooting. I found that also 10 years ago today, 28.9 three-point attempts a game led the NBA. It was actually the Knicks. That number would be 29th today. So it just goes to show you how much the game has really changed in just a 10-year span. And Thibodeau talked about this exact thing last night in his press conference. I advise you to check it out. About the volume of three-point attempts being taken and the possessions and whatnot and all that stuff. But that's what it is a lot of the time. It's just, yeah, we like to secure that lead, but with the amount of possessions and the amount of threes that teams are taking today, a 25-point lead isn't a 25-point lead from 10 years ago. A 25-point lead is more like a 15-point lead. So, I think it's a combination. I think, yes, you could make a case that Thibs should probably spread the minutes more evenly. But again, these are NBA players, and they're young, and we don't have a ton to go to. Would I like to see Sims over Hartenstein? Yes, but that still means it's a 9-man rotation. And so who else is left on the bench? You want to give more minutes to D Rose? No, he's washed. You certainly don't want to give Evan Fournier minutes. Cam Reddish is not in the solution, so don't consider him. The guy's gone. It's like Obi, sure, but like Obi's he's a decent player. He's not anybody who needs to be getting 20. I don't think he's gonna. There are Knicks fans who think Obi should be getting 27 to 30 minutes a night. Like, I think a lot of us just need to temper our expectations with some of these guys, and there's a reason they're on the bench. Obi Toppin, I think, is a nice bench scorer. Okay? I think he does a nice job coming off the bench. He could score you double figures. And again, I don't think it's fair if we give him 9 minutes going forward the rest of the year, but I think maybe it's just because it's his first few games coming back from a leg fracture. But if he eventually gives Obi his fair share of minutes, I really don't have any complaints left, because I don't love anybody else besides Obi and Quickley off the bench, and Quickley's getting his fair time. The only case you can make to me is Obi, who's not getting enough minutes, and Jericho, who should be playing over Hartenstein. But overall, I just don't think the Knicks choked last night only because they were tired. I think it's just a combination of fatigue and welcome to the modern NBA. That's it. So with that all said, that's all I have. And we'll go to break. When we come back from break, we'll wrap this shit up with our question of the day and our parlay. Stay right there. We'll be right there. See you. Be right back. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. Welcome back to the show, episode 464 of the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. So, let's wrap this one up with our parlay, and then we'll get to our trivia after that. All right. So, welcome to RJ's Parlay, where my degenerate self breaks down tonight's big parlay. If I miss, it's not surprising. If I hit, I'll probably lose it all tomorrow night, because that's how this works. Welcome to RJ's Parlay. Last night, we had a parlay on the Knicks game. We had two parlays on the New York Knicks game, as you could see on the screen if you were watching the video format of the podcast. The first parlay that we had down was a 5-pick parlay for plus 135 odds. And I cashed. It cashed. I had Randle for 30-plus points, rebounds, and assists. I love those stat combos. Randle getting 3+ assists in particular. Grimes, 16-plus points, rebounds, assists. Grimes for at least one 3-pointer made. And then RJ Barrett for 20-plus points, rebounds, and assists. That cashed. That absolutely cashed. And then the second parlay that we placed was almost good, but did not fall. It was a 5-pick parlay for plus 175. I have the Knicks on the money line, Randle for 35-plus points, rebounds, assists, Robinson for 15-plus point, rebound, assists, Brunson for 30-plus points, rebounds, assists, and then Brunson 5-plus assists. I believe I hit on 3 out of 5, and the only 2 I missed by 1. Brunson had 4 assists and not 5, and Randle had 35 combined everything and not 34 combined everything and not 35. So that's nice. So I went 1 for 2 on the night. Not bad. But yeah, I love doing those stat combos, man. They're really, really, really fun because I just feel I always hit with them because there are so many possessions in a game. Guys usually hit them. Let's get to our trivia. All right, so real quick, episode 464, our NYY-NYK-MMA trivia question of the day is, how many current Knicks rank top 10 for triple-doubles in franchise history? Who are they? So it's a two-part question. All right, how many current Knicks rank top 10 for triple-doubles in franchise history? Who are they? So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. Let me know. All right, if you get it correct, I'll let you know what the answer is in the next show. I'm sorry, I'll give you a shout out in the next show. If you don't get it correct, but at least attempt to guess the answer, then I'll let you know what the answer is privately in the next show. I'll message you. If you're so inclined to find out. So one final time, our trivia question of the day for episode 464. How many current Knicks rank top 10 for triple-doubles in franchise history, and who are they? And that's it, guys. I appreciate you stopping by. The Knicks are officially 1-0 since I'm wearing this Knicks jersey. I'm not going to tell you who it is because you will get mad at me, but it was a gift from my mother on Christmas a few years back, so I would like to wear it. It is the Knicks. All right, I'm wearing this because I support the Knicks and not this player. All right? He will not let you see. All right, that's it. I'll see you in 465. I'm out. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.